everyone can see the screen now. So in this session, we are going to talk about a Microsoft service, which is Sharepoint Syntex. And I'm Sushara. I'm a software engineer and I'm working on SharePoint development for the past 3 years. So before getting started with the overview of SharePoint Syntex, we can go through some sample scenarios in which we'll be needing the use of SharePoint Syntex, such as track data from invoices, track information from contracts, capture information from previously inaccessible documents, improve data processing to provide insights and analytics, automate order processing, simplify visa renewal processes, etc. So to use the SharePoint Syntex, your organization should be having a SharePoint Syntex subscription and each user must have a license assigned. And SharePoint Syntex actually uses AI to organize and manage the content, optimize search and compliance to automate and improve your most critical business processes. And the users create content understanding models that automatically classify the document hosted in the SharePoint libraries. By training these models through sample files, the data can be extracted from documents and displayed by columns in SharePoint document libraries. We use Content Center, which is basically a site template for creating, training, and managing SharePoint Syntex models. So a model is an algorithm basically, and it is trained using content and human input to replicate a decision that an expert would make with that same situation. There are two types of models in the SharePoint Syntex, and the first one is form processing model, which actually manages structured and semi-structured documents, such as forms, where the data is typically in the same location in the document. The second one is the document understanding model. It actually manages the unstructured documents where the information is contained in block of text. So let's just explore more about these two models and how it processes the data in the coming slides. The first one is form processing model. The SharePoint Syntex uses Microsoft Power Apps AI Builder form processing to create models with the SharePoint document libraries. For example, you can create a form processing model that identifies all purchasing order documents that are uploaded to a document library. From each purchase order, you can then extract and display specific data that is important to you, such as the purchase order number, purchase date, total cost, etc. We use example files to train these models to perform these tasks. The layout of our model is learned by training our model. We need only 5 documents to start with, and after you train and publish the model, your model creates a Power Automate flow. The flow runs when a file is uploaded to the document library and will extract the data that has been identified in the model. These data will be displayed in columns in your model's document library view. So basically, we'll be able to see all the extracted data in a different view in the document library. So now we will look into how to create a form processing model. Since I'm unable to show a live demonstration due to the license purchase issues, I'll try to showcase these processes through screenshots in various slides, okay? After enabling the form processing in Admin Center from the document library, you will be able to select a create a model to process forms option as shown here. Then you can give a name for your model and you just have to click create. You can now automatically extract and save information from a collection of structured files that share a similar layout that are in the SharePoint document library. The collection name is saved and dedicated column in the document library where the model is applied. It actually helps you to distinguish different file layouts processed by the same model. Also, the extracted information is saved to a specific list and associated with the uploaded file for an easy viewing or any other further additional automation processes. To extract table information to an associated list, we have to choose yes in the extract info from table section, and in where should we save table info section, you either can choose a new list or an existing list. And if you select a new list, a suggested name is automatically provided in the new list name box. And of course, you can modify that if you want to. And if you select an existing list, there will be a drop down available to choose the list you want to use. When you create a form processing model, actually the SharePoint creates a new content type. A SharePoint content type actually represents a category of documents that have common characteristics and share a collection of columns or metadata properties for that particular content. To map our model to an existing content type in the SharePoint content type gallery, you can select the advanced settings. From there, you can choose whether to create a new content type or use an existing one. After you create a new content type, your browser opens a Power Apps AI Builder form processing model page. There you can add and analyze your example documents. You need to tag the documents to teach the model to understand the fields and table data you want to extract, and that's how you train your model. After you train and publish the model, so this is basically the tagging process only. After you train and publish your model, the form processing model automatically creates a Power Automate flow. And the flow will run every time you add a document to that particular document library. And the data will get extracted as per the model. And this is how you use the model. And after the creation and training of the model, we can see the fields we selected are displayed as columns in the document library model view. And in the info link, notes that the form processing model is applied to this particular document library. And then you can upload the files to this library, and the model displays the extracted data in the model view from the files which is identified as its content type. And we can use flows to extract information in two different ways. The first one is extracting information from a PDF file. That is, we can process a single file at a time, and it supports only PDF files and image files. To run that particular flow, you have to select a file, then select automate, then you have to choose extract info. And the next one is extracting information from a file. And unlike the other one, we can process up to 5,000 SharePoint files at a time. When you run this flow, there are certain parameters that you can set. That is, choose whether to include the previously processed files, select the number of files to process, and specify the order in which we process the files. Specify how you want to order sorted. And that's how you work with the first type of model, which is the form processing model. Then we can move with the next one, which is the document understanding model. The document understanding model uses artificial intelligent models to automate classification of files and extraction of data. These models are created and managed in a type of SharePoint site called content center. We can add classifiers and extractors to your document understanding models to do the following actions. That is, basically the classifiers are used to identify and classify documents that are uploaded to the document library, and the extractors are used to pull the data from these documents. And you can use example files to train and test your classifiers and extractors in your model. Now we can move to the process of creating a document understanding model, and the first one is importing the sample model. And for that, from the content center, Select models to see your model list. Then on the models page, select import sample model. And you can get the sample models from the Sharepoint Syntex samples repository. Now let's just see how to create a content center. These are the steps that we have to. Okay, this is also includes the in the import part of the sample model. So these are the steps that we have to follow in order to create a content center. On the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you have to go to the SharePoint Admin Center Active Sites. And on the Active Sites page, you have to click Create and then select other options. On the Choose a Template menu, select Content Center. For the new site, you have to provide a site name, primary administrator, and a language. You just have to click Finished. And next we move on to the creation of classifiers, and these are the basic steps that we have to follow in order to create a classifier. First, name your model. The next one is add your example files, label your example files, create an explanation, and finally test your model. And we can explore more about these steps in the coming slides. The first step is name your model. The first step to create your model is to give it a name. For that, actually, from the content center, select new, then create a model. Then in the document, a new document understanding model pane, in the name field, you have to type the name of your model. Then choose create. This creates a home page for the model. And the next step is add your example files. For that, on the model home page, in the add example files style, click add files. On the select example files for your model page, select your example file from the training files library in the content center. If you had not already uploaded them there, choose to upload them now by clicking upload to copy them to the training files library. After you select your example files, you can click add. Next one is labeling. You need to label them as either positive or negative examples. For that, from the model home page, on the classify files and run training tile, click train classifier. This displays the label page that shows a listing of your example files. With the first file visible in the viewer, that is the first example file that the system chooses. In the viewer on the top of the first file example, you should see a text asking if the file is an example of the model you just created. If it's a positive example, select yes. If it's a negative example, select no. From the labeled examples list on select additional files that you want to use as examples and label them accordingly. The next one is create an explanation. For that, from the model home page, select the train tab to go to the train page. On the train page, in the train files section, you should see a list of sample files that you previously labeled. Select one of the positive files from the list and it displays in the viewer. In the explanation section, select new and then blank. On the create an explanation page, you can type the name, type, and type here box. You can type a string, which will be the description, and you can click save as shown in this image. And in the trained files section, check the evaluation column after the training has completed to see the results. The files shown a value of match if the files you created was enough to match what you labeled as positive or negative. If you receive a mismatch on the labeled files, you might need to create an additional explanation to provide the model more information to identify the document type. And the next step is in the explanations section. This is shown as the model reference. The final part is testing your model. For that, from the model homepage, select the test tab. This runs the model on your unlabeled sample files. In the test files list, your example files display and shows if the model predicted them to be positive or negative. Then we'll move to the creation of extractor. So basically, these are the steps that we have to follow in order to create an extractor. First one is name your extractor, add a label, add an explanation, train the model, and finally test your model. The first one is naming your extractor. Like we did with the classifiers, you have to name your extractor as well. For that, from the model homepage in the create and train extractor style, select train extractor. Then you have to choose on the new entity extractor screen, type the name of the extractor that you want to use, and when you're done, you can click create. Then you have to add a label like we did with the classifier only. And for that, from the viewer, select the data that you want to extract from the files. You should see the value display from the file in the labeled example list under the label column. Select next file to autosave and open the next file in the list in the viewer, or select save and then select another file from the labeled example list. And next in the viewer, you have to repeat the steps 1 and 2 and then repeat until you saved the label in all the 5 files. These 5 files are the positive labeled files. The next one is add an explanation. In the explanation section, select new and type a name. For example, date. For the type, you can select the pattern list. For value, provide a date variation as they appear in the same files. Then you can select save. Then you have to train the model. Saving your explanation actually starts the process. If your model has enough information to extract the data from your labeled example files, you will see each file labeled with match. And then we can test our model. For that, from the model home page, select the test tab. This will run the model on your unlabeled sample files. In the test files list, your example files display to show if the model can actually extract the information you need. Use this information to help determine the effectiveness of your classifier and identify your documents. If there is a scenario occurs where you will be adding a lot of duplicate entries, then you have to further refine an extractor. For that, from the model home page, in the entity extractor section, select the extractor you want to refine and then select refine extracted info. And then on the refine extracted info page, select one of the following rules as per your requirement. And then enter the number of lines or values you want to use and then select refine. If you want to edit a rule by changing the number of lines or values, select the extractor if you want to edit. Select refine extracted info, change the number and then select save. Then when you test the extractor, you will be able to see the refinement in the refinement result column of the test files list. And if you want to delete a refinement rule or an extractor, select the extractor from which you want to remove the rule, select the refined extracted info, and then select delete. Then for using our model in the model home page, on the apply model to the libraries type, select apply model, or in where the model is applied select section, select add library. And then you can select the SharePoint site that contains the document library that you want to apply the model to. If the site doesn't shown in the list, use the search box to find it. And after selecting the site, select the document library you want to apply the model. In the sample, select the documents library from the Contoso case tracking site. And you can select the advanced settings to optionally choose to retain the current library view or to use the newly created view with the model information in the advanced settings. And then select add to apply the model to the library on the model homepage. In the where the model is applied section, you should see the name of the SharePoint site listed. Then you have to go to the document library to make sure that your model's document library view is there. Select automate view document library understanding models. On the review models and apply new ones page, select the apply tab to see the models that are applied to that particular document library. And in the view more details, you'll be able to see more details about the model that you have created. So that comes to the end of this presentation. So basically, with the use of SharePoint Syntex, we can actually manage these digital assets with an ease. Actually, it will automatically increase the productivity and will reduce the appearance of errors while processing a lot of documents. So feel free to ask any questions if you have any. I hope no one has any questions. So once again, thank you so much for joining in this session. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.